Hello guys, welcome back. Today we'll be going over how to optimally use both Bad Batch teams. Starting with the initial Bad Batch team, OG Bad Batch. We have Hunter Mercenary here, solely because they make Wrecker probably the thickest unit in the entire game. So essentially he turns into a whirlwind muncher, and first off, we'll go over exactly how that really works. We look at Wrecker's unique, Dauntless Commando. He comes in with this Zeta, extra 20% max health for each Bad Batch ally, and extra 20% max protection. Now, max protection is where you see all the thickness gains come from. So first off, we're at 100% right now, just across the board. We look at Hunter's lead, different path, 35% across the board, so 135%. Then we also look at Hunter's unique, Focused Cooperation, which comes in with a whopping another 50% max protection. So Wrecker's 185% max protection with an extra 135% max health. And it comes in with all this extra other stuff too. But when I looked on .gg, the thickest Wrecker over there was 192,000 protection, 455, technically 192, 455, with 95,121 hit points, or HP. Now, when I did the math, including multipliers and all that, Wrecker, no datacron, just straight up off the bat with these stats, is rocking 772,031 hit points total. Mostly protection, so health-based damage isn't really a threat to him. And when I also decided to take into account the thick cron, Wrecker actually gets boosted up to 987,713 total hit points. Now, this is just with a normal thick cron set that normally doesn't have any other survivability stat. But when we take a look at Echoes of War, this one specifically has the thick cron, but it also came in with protection, which Wrecker has all this protection already. Like another 10% easily propels them up to another over 1 million. You can get a good chunk of protection on a cron, maybe 70%, which propels them up even higher. So pretty much your Wrecker goes up over 1 million hit points, which is normally 3 whirlwinds to take out, like a little chunk of change normally. So pretty much as long as your Wrecker is taunting, he should be unkillable, which would make the raid counter much more easier. Also, we want to take into account that Hunter Mercenary actually gives the team a little bit extra survivability and assists them with their damage as well, because all Bad Batch allies can offense up, which boosts true damage, calls all Bad Batch attacker allies to assist, doing 30% less damage, but it also gives them protection up for 1 turn. So essentially what you can do is just basic, and if your Wrecker is not taunting, slap this on up, and your team should have a much more higher probability of tanking a whirlwind if he's not taunting. And now on to the other Bad Batch team. I actually speculate that this is probably the best variant. Omega is actually better than Hunter, because you can really quickly get Crosshair's win condition now, which is getting it shaken off and target secured. Now, it does require a specific, turn order, but as long as you lock that down, we have them, within 1 speed of each other, 350, 349, 348, 347, and then 346, have it locked in like that. After that entire thing goes, Crosshair is going to immediately just take another turn, drop his shaken, take a bonus turn, and you have target secured. Although first we'll actually break that down. If you take off your shaken with I Will Handle It, which is why you need him the fastest. And then next up we have Wrecker. You want him second fastest actually, which might come as a bit more of a surprise, but that's because of Improvised Weapon. Due to how this team's target practice works and you have them to pin down the same enemy, any AoE attack dispels all target practice, even if it hits the same enemy, which is probably a downside on CG spot, but this is also really good to open up with anyway for him, which is why you want him the second quickest, because he gets thicker and all that, and it's a cleanse. So you take it against GL Leia, you stagger their entire team, so if you hit them, they pull back all their 10 meter, and you also cleanse all the debuffs that they just inflicted on you, which is nice. And, next up you have Batcher come in. And let's say GLA, like, Stealth Drogon. Batcher completely ignores that. Unavoidable damage. Ignores Stealth and Taunt. So essentially you can just pin down a Drogon with a Piercing Hound. But, if you mark an enemy that's next to 100% accuracy over the crosshair, she hits the enemy once. You pin down the enemy, which is 1 stack of target practice. Because, Wrecker allowed you to hit anyone and you hit them with 1 stack. But since you just did a special ability, a Mega also comes into assist with her part of the Squad unique. I believe that, yep, you actually do need the Zeta for that. While she is stealth, which, other Omegas lead naturally stealths you, she comes into assist. She also does 5% more damage for each buff she has, which is actually really good, because, you really hit the enemy, especially once you hit target practice ramping. But that is essentially 2 stacks of target practice just fed the crosshair, which is equivalent to 30% turn meter. And if memory serves me correctly, our crosshair actually wouldn't assist yet because no one has target practice yet. But next in is a Mega who, target practice is now spreading around. You hit crosshair with Big Sister, pull his cooldowns down. He has Shaken. Afterwards, you get an assist from crosshair. That's an additional 35% turn meter. Which is, it's already paired up to 30%. He just got that is 75%. And then a Mega assists a Mega, that's 90% turn meter. And as long as this Omega is 1 speed slower than this Omega, she's gonna go slap him with an adaptive learning. That's an additional, we're shaking off crosshair at this point because, at this point crosshair is literally about to take a turn because he gains all his turn meter. But that's 4 more stacks. And this would leave crosshair with, I believe, 4 stacks of shaken left, which in turn means that if you have I'll handle it ready, which, if taking against GLA you wouldn't, because then you'd have to do a hit with miss. But if you have I'll handle it ready, if you're not taking against any GLA that prevents any cooldown manipulation, you should probably eliminate any unit that you're targeting because they've been getting hammered down this entire time. But you would also gain a bonus turn after this because you lose all stacks of shaken, allowing you to, if the enemy unit isn't gone yet, you can hit them with this, where you can just basic. Well, if they are gone and you're free to target anyone, you can select any other big ticket unit on their team that probably isn't taunting, with target secured, and you're probably just going to eliminate them. And that would be it for today, guys. Till next time.